I always believed betrayal would be loud. I thought it would come with shouting, slammed doors, dramatic confessions. I thought I would see it coming. I was wrong. When betrayal entered my life, it was quiet. So quiet that I almost missed it. It was a Tuesday night. Rain tapped softly against the bedroom window. Daniel was in the shower, humming like he always did after a long day. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Once, twice, 3 times. I wasn't the jealous type. I had never checked his phone before. I trusted him the way you trust the ground beneath your feet, without thinking, without doubt. But that night, something felt different. Maybe it was the way he had been distant for weeks. Maybe it was the late meetings that kept stretching past midnight. Maybe it was the way he stopped looking into my eyes when he said, "I love you." The phone buzzed again. I don't know what came over me. Instinct? Fear? Truth knocking softly. I picked it up. The message preview was short, but it was enough. I miss last night already. Heart. My heart didn't shatter, it froze. Another message appeared under it. Same hotel tomorrow. Hotel. Tomorrow. Last night. My fingers went cold. Then the third message arrived. Delete our chat this time. She can't find out. She. That was me. The shower was still running. He was still humming. And in that moment, something inside me changed forever. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I placed the phone back exactly where it was. When he came out wrapped in a towel, smiling like everything in our world was normal, I smiled back. That was the moment I decided I wouldn't explode. I would plan. The next morning, he kissed my forehead and said he had an important meeting. I nodded like the loyal wife I had always been. Then I followed him. My hands shook on the steering wheel. Part of me prayed I was wrong, that this was some misunderstanding, that I was being dramatic. But he didn't drive to his office. He drove to a boutique hotel downtown. 10 minutes later, she arrived. Tall, confident, certain. She walked inside without hesitation. Daniel met her in the lobby. He smiled at her in a way he hadn't smiled at me in months. Then he placed his hand gently on her lower back as they walked to the elevator. That small touch hurt more than anything else. It wasn't desperate. It wasn't rushed. It was comfortable, familiar. I didn't cry. I took pictures. When he came home that night and said he was exhausted from work, I nodded and asked if he wanted dinner. I watched him lie to my face, and instead of breaking, I started observing. Over the next 2 weeks, I documented everything. Hotel visits, strange charges, calendar gaps, and then one night he fell asleep on the couch with his phone still unlocked in his hand. That's when I discovered something bigger than the affair. Encrypted emails, large transfers, account movements that didn't look normal. I knew enough about finance to recognize patterns. These weren't random. They were structured, planned, hidden. Then I saw her name in an email signature. Lena Morris, Independent Portfolio Manager. She wasn't just the other woman. She was connected to his work. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. He wasn't just cheating. He was moving client funds, small amounts across multiple accounts, carefully, quietly. And in one email to Lena, he wrote, "If anything surfaces, you approved the adjustments. I'll distance myself." He was preparing a scapegoat. I printed everything, forwarded it to a private account, contacted an old college friend who worked in compliance law. She reviewed the evidence in silence, then looked at me and said, "This is serious. If this explodes, it won't be small." That was when my heartbreak turned into clarity. Daniel's firm was hosting a major investor event in 2 weeks. Big clients, board members, media. It was his night, the night he had been preparing for all year, and I knew exactly what I was going to do. I scheduled the evidence to be sent to compliance, to senior partners, timed for the exact minute he would be mid-speech. The venue was stunning, Crystal lights, soft music, applause as he walked onto the stage. He looked perfect, confident, polished. "For me," he began, "trust is everything." Right on cue, his phone buzzed. Once, twice, again. He ignored it at first, then his smile faded. Murmurs spread through the room. A senior partner stood up and approached the stage. Daniel hesitated mid-sentence. "There are documented fund transfers involving you," the partner said quietly, but the microphone caught it. The room went silent. Daniel looked at me, confused, panicked, searching. I didn't smile. I didn't look angry. I just held his gaze. The security escorted him off stage. Investors whispered. Phones recorded. Lena stood across the room, shock written across her face. She had received the same email package, including the message where he planned to blame her. For the first time, Daniel stood alone. The next morning, the news broke. He was suspended pending investigation. By the end of the week, his employment was terminated due to breach of trust. Clients withdrew funds, partners distanced themselves, invitations stopped. He came home looking smaller than I had ever seen him. "You humiliated me," he said. "You humiliated yourself," I replied. "You could have talked to me." "Like you talked to me about the hotel?" He had no answer. The investigation revealed even more. Transactions that predated Lena, patterns that went back years. He hadn't become dishonest. He had always been that way. I just hadn't seen it. Then I learned something that chilled me. Because we were married, I could have been implicated if things had unfolded differently. My name could have appeared in reviews. I could have been dragged into something I never chose. That was the moment any remaining sympathy disappeared. I asked for a divorce. He called it abandonment. I called it survival. "You destroyed my career," he said. "You destroyed our marriage," I answered. He moved out quietly. No dramatic goodbye, just a suitcase and silence. Months passed, the divorce finalized. He relocated to another city, took a lower-profile job, far from the spotlight he once loved. Lena rebuilt her career separately. Everyone moved forward. People sometimes ask me if it was worth it. Revenge doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't come with music or applause. It's heavy. It's complicated. But justice feels clean. Daniel thought I was too emotional to notice, too loyal to question, too weak to act. He believed silence meant ignorance. He forgot something important. Silence can also mean preparation. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I gathered facts. I waited, and I let the truth speak at the perfect moment. He lost his career, his reputation, his illusion of control. And I lost the version of him I thought I loved. But I gained something far more important: clarity, strength, myself. And that changed everything. After the divorce papers were signed, people expected me to fall apart. Some of them even waited for it. They watched me carefully at gatherings. They lowered their voices when I entered rooms. They offered sympathy in that soft tone people use when they think you're fragile. But I wasn't fragile. I was different. There's a strange peace that comes after the storm. Not happiness, not joy, just quiet understanding. The illusion had burned down, and what remained was real. The house felt bigger after he left. At first, the silence echoed. His empty closet, his missing shoes by the door, the space on the bathroom shelf where his razor used to sit. 6 years of routine erased. But with every passing day, I noticed something else. I could breathe. No more pretending not to see things. No more second-guessing my instincts. No more wondering if I was imagining distance that was clearly there. I started waking up earlier, not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I would sit by the window with coffee and let the sunlight fill the room. For the first time in a long time, my mornings didn't start with anxiety. Daniel tried to call a few times during the first month. I didn't answer. Then he sent a message. "We need to talk. Not about us, about something important." I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "What is it?" He asked to meet in a public place, a quiet cafe downtown, neutral ground. I almost didn't go, but curiosity can be powerful. When I walked into the cafe, he was already there. He looked older, not physically, but emotionally, like the weight of everything had settled on his shoulders. He stood when he saw me. "Thank you for coming." I sat down across from him, leaving space between us. "What's so important?" He took a deep breath. "They're expanding the investigation." My expression didn't change. "And?" "They're looking into joint assets, accounts in both our names." A chill ran through me, but I kept my voice steady. "I've already provided everything they asked for." "I know," he said quickly. "That's not what this is about." "Then what is it about?" He has